Hello and welcome, Namaskar, and welcome back to those of you still with us at India Digital Summit 2025 from a very interesting, riveting session talking about breaking stereotypes. We're going to move to a very pertinent and slightly larger topic regarding, of course, the content space in the country. Evolution of content from production houses to digital collaborations. And for that, we have someone who, of course, has revolutionized many different spheres of course, every work that he's done, from, of course, films, where he changed the genre and, the trends that were in the industry from, of course, NRI romance and films which were concentrated on big cities and foreign locations to rustic, rural, heartland settings. With Sahib Biwi Gangster, and of course then follow that up with 3 different parts of it as well. Also, someone who of course has been part of the media sector, the branding sector, the marketing sector, truly revolutionizing that as well, with the introduction of MediaNet, which was often praised and criticized, but now has had a profound impact. The revenue model for publications in the country as well. I'm of course talking about Rahul Mittra. Rahul, pleasure to have you. And, these are just 2 different things that you've done. There are many more that we'll be talking about through the course of this chat. But firstly, your thoughts on being here at the summit. And thank you for being with us once again.
Thank you so very much. Very warm good afternoon to all of you. It feels nice. In fact, I'm thrilled to be at the biggest congregation of the digital ecosystem. I am doubly happy because I am sitting with one of my favorite journalists. I've always loved watching you, listening to you, and being interviewed by you on some few occasions. So it's great coming and interacting with everybody. Thank you.
Let me begin before we talk about how content has evolved to whether that's been a good thing or not, according to you. Are you someone who believes that this evolution has been for the better? It has been in the right direction, or are you someone who believes old is gold, jo tha, wo behtar tha?
I think we've all come a very long way from the cave paintings and the messages on the caves to, the books, to the newspaper, to radio, which introduced the emotive factor in communication, to television, the power of the audio-visual, to the mobile telephony. I think that changed everything. I grew up in a town called Chandigarh, and I remember that, when my mother used to send me to get some groceries from the Nukkad ki dukaan, I would just go and say, excuse me, I would just go and say, give me 1 oil, 1 soap, and so forth. And it was the prerogative of the person, the auntie or the uncle or the bhaiya sitting behind the counter for handing over whatever, and I would get it. And then came the shopping mall. And what the shopping mall did was to hand over each one of us a trolley. So we suddenly had the power of picking up a particular brand and putting it, and if we don't like the packing, etc., or whatever it's saying to us, we'll keep it back. I think that is what OTT has done. OTT has empowered the audience. And I see this as a welcome change. Charles Darwin theory, the survival of the fittest. Who in the end will survive? Not the strongest, not the most beautiful. The most responsive to change is the one who's going to survive. And hence, we all need to evolve, and that's the reason that content has been evolving, will evolve. And I think from tradition to innovation, the journey has been fantastic, and it springs so many challenges for all of us. It's a fast-pacing environment, and we all need to buck up, and I think I see this as a welcome change.
And do you believe this evolution has been happening all along? Or is it something that suddenly happened, in the recent past? Have things been changing all along in the content space, be it the film industry, the television industry, the media space. Have you seen this evolution happening all along over the last 5-6 decades, or do you believe it's suddenly spurted in the recent past?
See, I think we are all privy to changing societal norms. I'm sure all of us, irrespective of the age groups that we are in, we've seen the earlier films, right after independence. There was a certain, because of the circumstances, there was a certain compelling reason to be making those kind of films. You see, context is what defines content. जो माहौल था उस वक्त का वो कैसा था वो समझना और वो देखना बहुत ज़रूरी है and I think that for us filmmakers is very important to see. So if you pick up the films at that time, unemployment, they were essentially social commentaries. Hats off to Raj Kapoor, who sort of presented the social commentaries in a very entertaining manner, juxtaposing romance, etc., along with it. Then you move on, 50s, 60s, drama became more dynamic. And then, with the 70s, the unemployment, etc., and the angry young man came. I was very fortunate to be watching those films then. I mean, I'm born 1970, so just imagine the kind of films as a kid that, I've watched. Naseeb and all those Dharamveers and Ma and all those large films which also had a lot of impact on me.
And did that influence your personality as well?
Of course.
We were just talking with Tahir. He was talking about how the 90s, when he grew up, influenced him.
Yeah. So growing up in Chandigarh, of course it changed everything. But I'll just finish the whole sort of chronological order that comes to my mind right now. 80s is generally seen as not a very good decade for Hindi cinema, because that's the time, along with romance, along with action, romance became the subplot, and hence I think the woman protagonist became subservient to the interest of the action hero. I personally have a problem with that, which I tried to do later on, which I'll just come to, and then 80s, of course. 70s, 80s, I think Bobby was a genre-bending film because it was puppy love in confrontation with patriarchal authority. So every decade has presented a few movies, but what happened was later on, around the 90s, etc., suddenly the NRI audience became very powerful and in terms of spenders also for entertainment. And that's when, Shah Rukh Khan, the undisputed hero, and all the films, I thought, started catering to the NRI segment, the song, etc., dance. मुझे उससे कोई तकलीफ नहीं थी, लेकिन मैं इत्तेफाक भी नहीं रखता था. And that was the time when I had, I'd done my journalism and I'd done whatever, and I thought that these small town stories are missing. मुझे ऐसा लगता था कि छोटे शहरों की कहानियों में नमक है, छोटे शहरों की कहानियाँ बोलनी चाहिए, and that purely was one reason, and the second was trying to understand how society changes and how cinema changes according to society. Sahi Bibi or Ghulam, the original film, कितने लोगों ने देखी है यहाँ पे? Anybody seen Sahi Bibi or Ghulam? Believe me, you missed a wonderful movie. Please watch it. It's a classic. So it was one of my favorite films. And I used to think that साहेब बीवी और गुलाम अगर आज के वक्त में, आज के समय में हो, तो कैसा होगा? साहेब होगा कैसा होगा? बीवी होगी कैसी होगी? तो बीवी will not be what Bibi was portrayed in the film. She would probably, rather than getting killed in love, could kill in love. And that was the reason that was my take or my ode. And we shot the film in 28 days. मैंने अपनी ज़िंदगी भर की पूंजी लगा दी. Everyone thought कि ये पागल हो गया है. And क्या बना रहे हो साहिब बीवी गैंगस्टर? अगर मैं कहानी बताता उस समय, that एक साहिब है, उसका एक वो पैलेस में रहता है, उसकी बीवी है, वो ड्राइवर के साथ भाग गई, तो शायद मुझे लोग पत्थर मारते. At that time. But I think that being a little pompous, I think I was a little smart enough to understand that the germ of marketing has to be in the concept or the title of the film. Hence, Sahi, Bibi or Gangster. Fortunately, worked for me. The gamble paid, and I went on to make my other films. But so cinema has really changed. Even romance. Earlier, aap dekhiye, romance used to be the. See, there is in romance, if there is no conflict, तो मजा ही नहीं है ना. प्यार का मजा तो तभी है जब कुछ जद्दोजहद हो, कुछ drama ho. So earlier on, when you look at the films, all the films had an external conflicting factor. बाप लड़की का, लड़के की माँ, एक villain, आशिक. So the factor was external. But now, then society also changes.
I was just going to say that. Has the audience also evolved, and that has also led to this evolution of content that is being given to them?
Uday, absolutely. See, if today I make a romantic film in which the hero, the poor hero, is just wooing a girl and trying his best only to woo a girl, it will be a very, very simple kind of a theme, which worked earlier, couple of decades back. Now there has to be some conflict, and since I cannot make a film where the father is opposing, why are you opposing? Today, all youngsters have the right to choose their partners, and if they go and tell their parents, look, you want to come for the wedding, we're getting married, I'm sure nobody's going to mind, or most of them won't, or at least the evolved and the educated ones won't. But, so where is the conflict? And hence, the writing is important, hence the narrative is important. You got to make the character compelling. You got to make the trajectory of the character. Hence, the conflict from external has shifted to internal. You know, commitment-phobic relationships, or multiple, or whatever. There's a separate issue. But what I'm saying is that I see this as a huge change from conflict being outside, external, to conflict being inside. That, I feel, is a huge change, which also full marks to cinema, that we also keep on changing and evolving in trying to be in pace with the changing societal norms.
Now, COVID, of course, has had a profound impact also on different stratas, different sectors. There are many people from different, industries here, from finance to fintech to digital. And COVID has, of course, impacted all your industries. How did it impact the entertainment industry, according to you, Rahul?
See, number one, I think the only thing which kept all of us going during COVID was content, was entertainment. So that was the biggest thing, and people realized that, oh my God, being inside homes, etc., the only thing, which got them going was what they could watch. So content became the center, the focus. But after COVID, suddenly there was like a churning of sorts, according to me. And I've spoken on this earlier and also shared this in a few of my media interviews, that I think the biggest thing that happened was changing of the viewership palette. Because in COVID, you have access to regional cinema, you have access to international cinema, you have access to your home-generated cinema. People are making, shooting their videos, etc. So suddenly the exposure to content was phenomenal, A. B, another thing happened. Since OTT became very, and other such vehicles of mass communication showing entertainment other than the cinema, the theater, so people started liking some fresh faces, etc. So this, according to me, led to the decimation of the star system. So no longer was a big hero or an actor, there was no guarantee that he would open a film at 40 crores a day or 50 crores a day. Excuse me, we like you, you are popular, we may come for the, to watch the film, but excuse me, if the film is not working for us, from the audience's point of view, we are going to shun it. So that, I saw this as a huge change. Also another thing, and I see this as a welcome change, because fresh talent started coming. I have always been supportive of fresh talent. I myself was a fresher, I had no godfather. I had absolutely nobody to look up to, etc. I didn't know anything, and I just propelled myself into it. So I feel that new people should get a chance and talented, etc. So that fresh talent came in a huge way. Also, it was a wake-up call for people like us, because the erstwhile parochial kind of mentality of some filmmakers is not going to work anymore. You just can't, sit and say कि ये ऐसा ही होता था और ये ऐसा होगा. No, you have to see, because audience is become smarter, and audience तो अब तो अच्छा content सूंघ लेती है. They can smell good content. Hence, I see this as a wake-up alarm for all of us. It got off all, and I personally feel very happy and proud of saying that during COVID, one of the biggest sales on Netflix was my film Torbaz. So, for me, it was a Sanjay Dutt film, and
you recognized, OTT, of course, and the advent of it very early. You had Cabaret as well.
Yes,
I think
I
which
did Cabaret with Richard Chadha on Z5.
Again, that was one of the first few releases
yes,
of its kind.
I was one of the first guys to get onto the OTT bandwagon. Yeah. Again, primarily because it was not for money or money alone. It was, I thought that this is a new emerging area, it's a completely different vehicle completely. And I'm sure the audience is going to be different as well. Yeah. So I'm going to tap into those audiences was my primary purpose of coming there.
But, that leads me to my question then, and of course you follow that up with Torbaz, as you were just saying, which again got great numbers for Netflix. But OTT as a medium, is it harming big screen? Are we going to see the two mediums coexist? Is it harming television as well? Because, again, a criticism of television also was that, the serials are very regressive. They are not evolving over time. And now OTT is changing that with these finite episode things. TV serials would continue for years sometimes. In fact, some serials are continuing even till now, like Ye Rishta Kya Kehlata Hai. They just change the protagonist. So television, OTT, big screen. Now, are these three going to coexist, or do you see the evolution of one of the mediums, harming the other?
Content partnerships have always existed. The earliest content partnership that I can think of is going a little back. I studied international relations in JNU, and I did not want to compete for the UPSC because my late father was an IS officer, my elder brother was an IS officer, and I thought I need to be a journalist, and that's how I started off as a journalist. But the people who were studying with me that time in my MA and MPhil were most of them competing for the UPSC, and unfortunately, lots of them could not make it. So they were just sitting and they were making a lot of notes. And that time I became a journalist. After that, I joined a pharmaceutical company because I wanted to peak very fast. I wanted to learn. And then I went to a large travel conglomerate. That is when the internet was happening. So I went to some of them and said that, okay, I give you 1,000 rupees, you give me 500 pages on temples of India. I give you this, so it was, and few of them I didn't have even money to give them. So I said, I'll make a page and put it on my website, so cross partnerships always helps, that's one. B, I think we need to understand that different modes of entertainment and different channels cater to also to different audiences. A very dear friend, a senior corporate, recently told me that the good time of television is over. But now the subscription video on demand is going to be booming. So there are trends, and anybody who does not understand the trend or gets onto the bandwagon is going to lose out. As simple as that. Content, as long as it is compelling and is getting the numbers, it works otherwise. But I also feel that specifically OTT and cinema. Yes. These are the two platforms, channels, that according to me are not only going to coexist but co-thrive. Because Indians love going to the cinema. I don't think that will run out of fashion. It's just that now we've become a little particular. Yes, Yeah, that okay. No, this movie, let me just go through the reviews and I'll see. Otherwise, I'll watch it on OTT in next 15 days, 30 days, 40 days. So that, hence the filmmakers have to make the content compelling. Also, the narrative post-COVID, the narratives have to be very rooted. By rooted, I don't mean setting it in a rural setting. By rooted, I mean honest to the genre that you're trying to attempt, or the world that you're trying to create. And all those recently, if you see all the shows, all the films that have worked, irrespective of the genre that they've attempted to achieve and present, only those shows or films worked that were honest in their storytelling. And that's why I said honest, rooted content is what is going to get the riveting viewership.
Social media now. How has social media and the growth of it impacted as well content evolution? From of course now people becoming critics themselves. With these YouTube channel growth. Everyone's become a critic. Everyone's become a journalist. People have become content creators as well. We've seen this boom of influencers. With Instagram as well. So the impact of social media on content evolution, according to you?
Yesterday only, I was speaking to a few media people regarding the very unfortunate attack on Saif Ali Khan, and I was remembering about how he was mobbed and how we, on my sets, Bullet Raja in Lucknow, when I was filming a chase scene with Saif Ali Khan was running after Gulshan Grover, and suddenly we had thousands of people coming in from somewhere. And literally, Saif and I ran for our lives that time. And we rushed inside a shop, and then we were rescued, etc. So I was just remembering that and talking about that. And from there, my discussion led to social media. See, social media, according to me, and I'm sure a whole lot of people, has been probably one of the most disruptive trends, I think, in human history. That's what I feel. And I'm sure about that. Because social media has changed everything. Now, social media is great for marketing, great for the immersive experience, etc. But it has its perils as well. Because there is a young audience there, largely a young audience, which is very passionate about their, what they think, what they feel. Also, they're faceless. They probably have a photograph which we don't know is the true photograph or how many years back, etc. And they feel that there is a wall between them and us, or whoever. And hence, they can just reach out or say whatever. That's very dangerous. It's like walking into a room, not knowing who will hug me or who will kick me or who will stab me, for heaven's sake. So this toxic fandom is something which is alarming. And I think it's a collective responsibility of everybody for trying to ensure that that's minimized, because end of the day, hey, let's have fun. The idea, if human beings, what is the purpose? I mean, everybody has different purpose, but largely purpose of life is to connect, isn't it? And to coexist and co-thrive. That's my purpose, at least. So in that desire of coexisting and co-thriving and forming a connection, why to have toxic connections without any reason? You don't know the person and you're just judging race, color, ethnicity, or what the person is wearing or what the other person said. I think it is completely unfair. I have had on several occasions been trolled myself for various, it also could be, when is part 4 of Sai Gangster coming? Now, I don't want to reply. And the person starts abusing me. So, I don't want to reply because I don't know whether I'm going to make a part. I don't know whether I'm going to make a series on OTT. I don't want to tell who am I in touch with, whether I want to...
You're right, this toxic culture is, in fact, even with the attack on Saif Ali Khan that you referred to a short while back, and, thankfully...
After the attack, I've been calling all my friends. I called Arjun Rampal yesterday. I said, bro, you got to beef up the security of your Goa home. He said, chill. I said, no chill. Because I stayed with him last month, and And then I called Randeep Hooda, and I've been just
No,
calling up
thankfully-
all my friends
no,
and saying, just
thankfully-
take care of that.
Thankfully, Saif is out of danger, and that's
Saif is
very
safe.
Saif is safe. Yes, very reassuring. But there was so much toxicity on social media as well. Of course, there was outpouring of love, but there was toxicity as well. Imagine after
And the
such an
kinds of
incident.
conspiracy theories, oh my God, they were all themes for a potboiler, let me tell you. Whatever that I read. It's crazy.
Speaking now about your personal journey before we conclude, the evolution of content has, of course, also happened, but the evolution of Rahul Mittra has also been seen over the years. From your journalist self to your marketing self to your branding self to your filmmaker self to now your actor self as well. I mean, who can forget your part in Amar Singh Chamkila? You got such great reviews for that, and overall, it did so well. This project by Imtiaz Ali really ruled the roost on Netflix once again. So tell us about your evolution as well. Has it been by design? Has it just happened? And what has defined your evolution as well?
See, I think very recently I was delivering a TEDx talk in Lucknow, and that's what I was sharing, that which I like to share with everybody, that in Chandigarh when I was growing up, the youngest of three brothers, so my elder two brothers, all super achievers, and I'm very proud of them. The eldest one wanted to be an IS officer, and he became one. The middle one wanted to be a chartered accountant, and he became one. I did not want to become anything. I just wanted to be and not become. So I guess that spirit of, experimenting, or that spirit of, so I think I'm somebody, and I'm saying this with a whole lot of humility and not with anything else, unless I don't learn anything every single day, I think life is not fulfilling enough. So I was not trained to be a journalist, I became one. I was not trained to be a brand guy. I started Brand Smith, which did quite well. Right now also I do some large branding advisory jobs. I also consulted the Arunachal government, as you know, as the brand advisor, etc. I did not train to be a filmmaker, and I became one. And I'm definitely not trained to be an actor. And Amar Singh Chamkila, of course, I played DSP Bhatti, for those who saw. There was just one scene, but it became quite viral because I warned Diljit Singh, Diljit Dosanjh, warning, dene bulaya tujhe, and all of that. And it became viral. And then I did Inspector Avinash, which was a very largely watched show on Geo Cinema. And just had a couple of scenes as a Vidhayak with my scenes with Randeep Hooda. They also became viral. Happy to share with you that I'm being considered for quite a few roles now. I've just shot for Umesh Shukla, who made Oh My God. He shot a film and he called me saying, Bhai, I want you to play head of a political party. I said, okay, let me grow my mustache. I was on my way to Israel. I grew a mustache, reached there. So, and now I'm also being considered for some nice, meaty jobs. And now suddenly I've become careful in terms of, and also started demanding money. No, essentially because so that serious work comes my way. But the whole idea is that I'm enjoying the process. So I don't know what next, but every different stage of life demands a different you. And hence, I feel that whatever that I'm supposed to do, at least as God is on my side, and the blessings of my late mom and dad, I'm always up there to and show myself like I am here today.
Leave us with a thought for the future. Where do you see the content space going? We've talked about what it was earlier. We've spoken about what it is today in present time. Where do you see it going now in the future?
I think with artificial intelligence and whole lot of this amazing, the way the digital space is moving towards, jis raftar se chal rahi hai, I think that it's definitely, if you see it from a positive side, it's going to empower all of us for sure. And that's where I think more time now we can spare in terms of planning and planning the dissemination of the message. Earlier, what are presentations and this, and I think content creation may get a little easier. But that doesn't mean that you leave everything. Human emotion is never, ever going to run out of fashion, and I hope it doesn't. That's something that I would really like to hope for.
Forget AI, HI.
Absolutely.
Is-
For me, emotional quotient has always been much more important than the intelligence quotient. I think emotion is what is something, and that's what cinema is all about. At least half of it is. Half of it is heart, and the other half of it is commerce. And marrying that with box office success is something that I've always tried to do. Very fortunate that almost 15, 16 films, maybe more, have gone through these hands in last 14, 15 years. Very, very fortunate for that.
Fantastic. Let's hear it for Rahul Mitra and his journey and, of course, his thoughts. Thank you so much for being with us. I think we can have a couple of audience questions. Yes. Do we have that audience member who was with us? Okay, I'll ask his question, though, to you, because he also had a very interesting question. First, you. Yeah.
Fantastic hearing you. One quick question. We talk about, I think I really love the phrase that you were talking about, right? Which is human and humanity, human emotions will never run out, right? They will always be there.
Sorry, it's not a little clear. Thoda sa aap upar kar
Yeah.
dijiye mic
Is
ko.
it better?
Yeah.
Yeah. So first of all, thank you so much for enlightening us. What I really loved about you saying was that human emotions will never run out. They will always be there, right? Now, my question, I'm just inquisitive. I was always asking a lot of people. These days, we see a lot of content which is full of violence, bloodshed, and so forth, right? I was in a conference couple of, I think last year it was happening, where I talked about that we can definitely pass good moral values, we can pass good content, but I think we are quickly talking about monetizing it, and easy monetization is all violence, bloodshed, and whatever we talk about. What's your perspective? How can we really bring back the morals, right? How can we really bring back human centricity, emotions, sentiments, family affairs onto picture, and still have money coming in?
You can have a seat.
Thanks.
See, your question is something which is posed to me quite a lot when I go for national, international film festivals, etc. My take is, I think, very simple on this. Firstly, broadly, from a macro point of view, that, see, for imparting moral values, your parents, schools and colleges, is enough, and whatever that you learned. So the point I'm trying to make is that essentially we are all, each one of us from the entertainment industry, are also human beings with our own dreams, with our own passions. For instance, I came to make the kind of cinema I wanted to make. I did not primarily come to educate people. So we are not educators, that is number one. See, most of the time people often ask us कि जी आप इसके लिए क्या कर रहे हो, उसके लिए क्या कर रहे हो. हाँ, there is a broad responsibility, I understand, because people are influenced by cinema, like cinema is influenced by society. So broadly, like I remember, if you pick up any of my films, most of my films, if not, मैं कोशिश करता हूँ कि गाली गलौज ज़्यादा ना हो. साई बीबी गैंगस्टर, तीनों पार्ट्स आप उठा के देख लीजिए, they're adult because of the theme adult. But you won't find any nudity. You will not find any, and I've given statements, I don't need sex to sell my films. This, I've said this in the past. I don't need abusive language to sell my films. So a broad responsibility hona bahut zaruri hai for all of us, and self-regulation has to be. But let's get away from the typical moral prisms. And there are education or educating can be entertaining. Precisely. So coming to the second part of it, I think if we can entertain in a good manner. I was very recently on a discussion regarding the disclaimers that that Government of India wants to include on the OTT space of anti-smoking. Now, I am not for smoking. I used to be a chain smoker. I gave it up myself 4, 5, 6 years back, and I'm so happy and proud of the fact that I was able to kick off that habit. And although I have my often cigarillos, but I don't inhale in anyways. But it's a bad thing and you should not do it. But that doesn't mean that if I'm watching a show, that every 4 minutes a disclaimer comes. Now that kind of, this is not education, this is like policing. Hello, do you want to do this? So similarly, what I proposed was, we can try and make it interesting. For instance, if I know that there is a scheme by Government of India, Ministry of Health, that if you incorporate in your script the ills and the perils of smoking, then you will get some money, like you get subsidy in a state. I'm incidentally the first filmmaker to get subsidy in UP for Bullet Raja. I've largely been, and I'm very proud of the fact I've been largely been responsible for starting this whole subsidy movement, because, you know, you go, you 70, 80 days on the road somewhere, for heaven's sake, you know, money is one thing, but give us support and all of that. So I've been a diehard fan of subsidy and always speaking on this. So coming back to that, if in the script only I include, for instance, if, you know, he comes to me and both of us are actors, and he says, बहुत बुरा हुआ, बोलो बहुत बुरा हुआ, तुम्हारे दोस्त की मौत हो गई, let's do a small scene.
बहुत बुरा हुआ, आपके दोस्त
की मौत
मर गए.
सिगरेट बहुत पीता था, 20 सिगरेट पीता था रोज के, कितनी बार उसको मना किया मत पियो, लेकिन फिर भी पीता था. This is better than the disclaimer, isn't it?
Yeah, precisely so.
So
Absolutely.
this kind of education is what
precisely
somebody would like to do.
Sure. Just wanted to add one more point, right? We live in a world of checklists, to be very honest, right? World of checklists that do this and so forth, right? I think what you're pointing out, organically blend in so that it gets part of your life. You start understanding it. Straight away, not questioning people and policing them, then this is what you have to do. Sure. You say it in a very indirect way, right? That's what it is. So thank you so much for your valuable thoughts.
Thank you so much, lovely. All you guys are a wonderful audience. And
I think one more question, I think there's one more question. Before you ask that question, I want to pose a question that someone asked us before the session, actually. You know, we spoke about production houses to digital collaborations. What next? One of the thoughts that one of the audience members had was crowdfunding. You know, we see it in other industries. Is it possible for films and cinema as well? We saw it recently. I think there was a film by Rajat Kapoor. I'm forgetting the name, but it was crowdfunded. So is that possible? And can that also further redefine content?
See, anything is possible as long as what route you like to say. On a lighter note, the person who asked this question is from the crowd. I'd rather take him on the side and get some monies out of him. That kind of crowdfunding is what I like to do myself. But anyways, see, as long as your target audience is being met, like recently I met somebody who works a lot with schools. And he said that, Rahul ji, aapke sath kaam karna hai, mere paas 5,000 schools ka network hai. So I said, wow. And any film which caters to education of schools, etc., they can, you know, that's their target audience. So he was telling me, agar aapki koi film schools ki hai, to aap aiye. But my mind went somewhere else. And I told him that, why don't you devise this event? Why don't you do this? Why don't you, you know, have a Sanjay Dutt in conversation with me, which I've done in a couple of countries, talking about drugs, etc., and all of that, because what not to do is what they need to learn more than what to do. So there is so much can happen, but coming back to crowdfunding, of course, it is there. I've never given a serious thought to it, but if the gentleman meets up with me, which I'm really looking forward to, maybe I could think of something to begin with. If not mine, with some associates or some good, talented people who need crowdfunding, maybe we could give it a try, and why not? Definitely, I think it should work.
Thank you. My name is Ashish Rahul. I was just listening to you guys about crowdfunding. So just came into my mind, I'm not correct, but I'm wrong or not, because I did the Googling. I believe Manthan was the movie which was actually a crowdfunded movie. Way back, I believe in mid-70s, which has been crowdfunded by close to 500,000 farmers, and that I believe had been the subject of crowdfunding, had been introduced much before what we are talking about in the forum. Again, you know, pardon me for my information. I'm a audience. I'm not an expert like you, Rahul. So what I'm going to ask from a perspective of an audience and not from an expert and critic. Yesterday and today, we as an audience has been hearing a lot about, you know, content is changing shape, the new ideas are coming, how the various, you know, genres of content are being produced and being experimented, which had not been done before. As an audience, I remember that when you rightly said about the angry young women, Amitabh Bachchan's image during mid-70s, there had been movies by Farooq Sheikh and Amol Palekar, which we would call now or categorized as parallel cinema, right, had been thriving well, right? So I believe as an audience that different genre and the content type had been coexisting much before now, and industry and the filmmakers had been very well doing a lot of experimenting on these subjects involved. So the content is changing and people are ready to experiment is not a topic which is being done and had been adopted now. It had been existed for long now. This is my, I would say,
you're absolutely right. Cinema is nothing but the celebration of the human mind. That's what cinema is. So human mind, it's not that human mind has started functioning now and it wasn't functioning earlier. When humans were drawing pictures in caves, I mean, I find that so fascinating. But I have always been a fan of mass communication, how to reach out to more people. And that's why the crowdfunding idea, this seed has really been embedded in me, which is not a bad idea. We must give it a try. So I'm with you on that. It's not that something has happened now, but what happens is always there is a watershed event or a watershed that everybody, like when I came at that point, like I said, कि छोटे शहरों की कहानी ज़्यादा नहीं थी. तो कुछ लोग बोलते हैं और मैं बहुत ह्यूमिलिटी से सुनता हूँ. मैं कोई ऐसे नहीं बोलता है मैंने हिंदुस्तान के सिनेमा को बदल दिया. I don't do that. My Wikipedia page says Rahul Mittra was instrumental in something which changed the narrative of the Indian cinema, which the
Hindi heartland brought the stories back to the Hindi heartland.
What I'm saying is why that happened, because उस समय लोगों को रिस्की लग रहा था. जब मैं आया वो फिल्म बनाने के लिए लोग सेड किसको ले रहे हो? जिम्मी, रणदीप, ये कौन है लड़का? तिग्मांशु, उसके तो रिलीज ही नहीं हुई पिक्चर 10 साल से. This was what people were telling me that time. And टाइम्स ऑफ इंडिया छोड़ के तुमने कंपनी शुरू करी ब्रांड्स में, तो अच्छा खासा कर रहे हो, दाल घर भी बना लिया, गाड़ी भी बना ली. सो माई थिंग इज दैट आई हैड टू कम आउट ऑफ माई कंफर्ट लेवल. फॉर मी कंफर्ट इज डेंजरस. यू नीड टू कम आउट. Hence anybody who goes beyond and is courageous enough will change content, and I'm sure each one of us have that ability to do that.
Thank you.
Thank you, Rahul ji. Very, very organized and very well thoughts. I actually came to this, I'm actually a tech guy, and I came for this conference to meet some of the tech folks. But this is honest opinion that I like this show most, actually, hearing your answers.
Thank you so much.
And how actually you framed them together, actually. So regarding...
This is all his doing.
No, absolutely. Uday is making the excellent job in parallel. I think one thing I'll tell you, like I'm in the industry, I work with Apple and company like these in 2009. I've developed a lot of platforms on crowdfunding, and I share my idea and send an email to book my show. I don't know where to reach out because I come from Aligarh, which is a very small city in UP, and now living in Noida from last 15 plus years. That idea of crowdfunding is actually excellent. I'm happy to share certain things with you, how I thought about it and how it can really help.
So evolution of content partnerships का topic है, उसका ज़माना है, और आपके पास platform है, हमारे पास content है.
Exactly, that's what I was sharing with you.
तालियां मारो जी हमारे नए arrangement के लिए.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for that.
आज का सेशन पूरा collaborations पर ही था. आज देखो यहाँ यही एक potential collaboration निकल गया. All right, sir. Last question. Yes, please. And then we'll end.
Good to see you live, Mr. Uday and Rahul ji.
Thank you.
Yeah. So we were discussing about AI and also emotional feelings and human feelings were discussed. So what it's more of a thought that how we actually express our emotions is through words or through expressions. So if AI can automatize so many things, probably the words can also be made automatic or the expressions can also be automated. So it's more of a personal thought that maybe AI can reach to that space also, wherein emotions can also be duplicated by the same. Any thoughts you have, please do share.
See, I recently led a delegation, a film delegation to Israel, and I led it at the time when the war was going on. And I essentially wanted to go and meet up with the Israeli filmmakers, etc., and people from the tech space and artificial intelligence, etc., because that is an area which we don't know. I mean, I'm not an expert, a technology expert. I had the opportunity of meeting a company which is hugely in this space, and they showed us exactly on what you're saying, on what they can do in terms of human emotion. So, a person is in this mood, he's wearing this clothes. That's what I'm saying. It'll definitely change, but I said you can use that for the betterment of everything, rather than thinking it's going to hijack. Because somebody is going to devise that, somebody is going to give the thoughts. I don't think it will be completely prescriptive. It can be descriptive, you know. There are essentially in data, I'm told there are 2 or 3 broad things. So I think ऐसा कोई स्टेज मुझे नहीं लगता कि बिल्कुल ही प्रिस्क्राइब हो जाएगा कि यहाँ पिक्चर ओके मैं सो रहा हूँ और पिक्चर बन गई 3 घंटे की. ऐसा नहीं होगा और ऐसा होना भी नहीं चाहिए. God willing. We need to eventually see how best to marry technology with emotion and content and come out with a more immersive experience for the audience. Because end of the day, whatever that we do is for you guys, for the audience. And that should always be the case.
All right, I think that's a great thought to conclude on. Thank you so much to the audience as well for being very lively
thank
and
you so much,
interesting with their
Mr.
questions.
Uday.
And thank you to Rahul Mittra for being with us.